No worries. So as we go through different participant, it looks like most of you has some IT background. Maybe few people might not, but most of you has some IT background, and looks like you might have some information about Salesforce. So the today's session is basically, as the name reveals, that it is more for the understanding. And however, the Salesforce itself is a huge platform. We'll talk about a couple of its sections. How does it basically divided, but our main focus is about the admin part of it. So what we're going to do is basically, first of all, we'll try to establish what is Salesforce, what is CRM, how does it influence our economy, how does it basically interrelated with multiple businesses that we see today, which industries are basically um, just a second, I have one question. So just a quick question from Fayaz, that if you have any question, you can just ask the question right away. You don't need to put in a chat box, because I want this session to be very, very interactive, as we are sitting in almost like sitting in a classroom. So if you have any question, just stop me right away, ask any questions. In that way, other people can also benefit from that. So it's very, very informal session, and you don't need to even use the chat if you don't want to. Just directly unmute your system and basically ask any question, stop me, and then we can discuss about that part of it in any detail. So that's what my intention is. So coming back to the point, so basically these are a couple of things that we want to see today, that how does it really work into it. So let me go. So first of all, can you guys able to see my screen? So I'm actually a next page where it says introduction. Can you guys able to see it? If someone can give me a thumbs up, or okay. All right. Perfect. So, all right. So we just had an introduction. I will in the next slide, I'll also give my introduction as well. But we just have a quick introduction about the participants, so we can understand which fields and how they want to be related with the Salesforce. We got some idea about the professional background, and then now the next question comes in: why Salesforce? So as we heard from this different participants, that some of them are working either directly with the Salesforce, or they might be working indirectly, or they might heard about Salesforce and they are interested in getting into the Salesforce platform, either as an admin or a developer, in different cases. So we'll talk about it a little bit more. Okay, so before we start, just a quick introduction about myself. So my name is Khurram Ali. I've been in the IT and telecommunication industry for more than 15 years. I have a master's degree. I have a project management PMP certification. I also have an admin certification. I work in multiple organizations in multiple roles. Currently, I'm working for Nokia as a project manager. I have also done multiple projects which are either related in terms of directly with the Salesforce or indirectly. In terms of training, I was a designated trainer for some of the softwares and the platforms. I worked extensively, more than 5 years, for providing corporate trainings on different platforms, either IT platforms or telecom platforms. I also provided full day, multi-day trainings on a very fresh breed of engineers in different perspectives. So this is something I really been doing for a while, and I have a great interest in that. So now basically, this is something I started since last year. I've been providing trainings. I had a batch earlier this year, and this is for 2017. This is a second batch I'm going to start, and then there will be followed by one other batch in the winter session. So I have a couple of successful candidates who have started their journey in Salesforce, get their certifications, and alhamdulillah able to get a job as well. So this is kind of a quick background. about it, and then more background related to the course itself will come up in next couple of slides. So the first thing I just want to quickly talk about from a very high level, and then we'll go into and zero it basically on some particular aspect about it. So once we start with the Salesforce market share, what does it really mean about the Salesforce, and what are some of the competitors that you can see if you are in the Salesforce domain? So the main Salesforce competitors are Microsoft Dynamics, which is probably you can say the next to the Salesforce. There is also a Oracle part of the CRM. So Oracle is a huge platform. They provide multiple platforms. CRM is part of it. They also have ERP system and some other systems that is available. However, they have also a CRM part of it. There's another ACT SAP. I'm sure you guys have heard about it. So all these platforms, they sometimes provide multiple platforms, and CRM could be part of it. So these are some of the competitors currently in terms of between these five competitors. About 45% of the share is held by Salesforce. Just in general, like overall market in CRM world, it has about 20% of the market cap. So about 200,000 plus companies have already implemented Salesforce, and these numbers are not very current. There might be even more companies who have adopted Salesforce. Is there a question?
Yes, Khurram, just a quick question.
Sure.
Just for my understanding sake, um, uh, like, what is the size of a company where it really requires a CRM?
Sure. So, that's a very interesting, very good question. That how you really want to use a Salesforce, or what could be a company size, how small or how big. So basically, the company can be a one person, and you can still use a Salesforce, and it can go up to any number of employees. 100,000 plus companies or a 200,000 plus companies can also use Salesforce. Obviously, they very understandably why a bigger company use it, but maybe your question might be why a smaller company or just a one person company need a Salesforce, or in terms of CRM. So kind of we'll discuss a little bit more once we go down a little bit, but just to give you a quick answer just for the question right now, and as I said, explanation might come later on in a couple of slides. The reason for that is CRM is as the name suggests, is basically customer relationship management. So you can be a one person company, but you can have a lot of customers, maybe in hundreds or thousands, or maybe hundreds of thousands of customers, although you are a one person company. So for example, let's say you are a consultant who provided services, right, a software services, and you just do it on your own. You don't have any other partner with you. But on the other end, you might work with maybe 10 companies, 20 companies, 50 companies. They might have different requirements. They might give you projects in a different times. You complete one project, and after a couple of time they come back. Or you are basically running multiple projects for multiple companies at the same time. So even although you are just one person, but you might still need to manage your customer. So obviously you need some sort of software. So the very basic example of managing customer like a CRM could be your Excel sheet. So let's say you don't have any CRM system. So what you normally do, you have an Excel sheet, you put the names, you put the contact numbers, you put what they're requesting, and then let's say they come back, then you put the project details, and then you also need to know who are the contacts that you are working with, and then you put the pricing, then you put, okay, did I put the code in what month, if the code process, and then go on and go on basically. So in order to manage all this, you need some system. Now, in technical terms, that is basically a CRM system, a customer relationship system. Now, based upon your engagement of customers, what kind of engagements do you have? You can have a very complex system, or you can have a very simple system. So anytime where you need to have a documented and repetitive kind of information coming up, you need some sort of system. So obviously Salesforce is one of the CRM systems then that we will talk in more detail, but it can fit to a person who is running a single-handedly a company, and it can go up to a companies where you have hundreds and thousands of employees. So hopefully that answer your question.
Thanks, Khurram.
Okay. All right, so let's get to the next slide. So the in terms of Salesforce customer, what I suggest is basically you can also Google, or probably many of you might already know, but just a very high level, some of the companies that I can mention like Coke, Gap, Coach, Nike. In terms of banking, you have Bank of America, Citibank, Fidelity, State Farm. In terms of technical, AT&T, Cisco, Microsoft, Sony. In terms of entertainment like Hulu, Live Nation, Universal Pictures, hotels.com, price. I mean, the list is unbelievable. But the main thing to look into it, that you have all the different aspects of the economy is covered. So you can have retail, like you have our retail customers here, then you have a travel and hospitality, then you have communication, which is obviously different from the prior to, then you have internet and e-commerce, then you have a technology, then finance, and then the list will go on and on. Basically you have the medical part of it's a huge, so you have medical companies, insurance companies, hospitals. They all need to have some sort of CRM system in order to do it. And as I said, Salesforce is obviously one of the leading ones, and we'll very shortly discuss why is the leading one that is being used. So the first of all, we just establish a fact that this is not pertain to a particular industry, which gives you an opportunity to basically be a global ambassador in terms of IT. So, for example, if you're working on a IT on a particular platform, that platform might be relevant to one industry. In some cases, there are softwares which are very dedicated to the financial industry. Some softwares which are very dedicated to the medical industry. Some are very dedicated to technology in terms of Cisco or AT&T. Some of them are more retail oriented, but the beauty of the Salesforce CRM is basically it will cover pretty much all varieties of different businesses that can use, because this is more generic in nature, and you can basically adopt it, and then basically you customize it based upon the system. So we'll talk about a lot of customization which are possible and how it can be customizable. That's where we need people like you and myself, where you need admins and developers in order to customize the system based upon a particular business need. Even within the same business, each business behave slightly differently, so you might need to modify a little bit. So that's where the jobs and consultants comes in, where they can come in and help. Although the system is very user friendly, but it is still requires a certain degree of understanding of the system and technical background in order to do that. And I'll give you some more examples based on that, that why, if somebody has a Salesforce, cannot just do it on its own, or why do you need a certification, or why do you really need to know about Salesforce to use it if it is a user friendly system. So we'll talk a little bit more detail about it, but this slide is just give you and establish a fact that this is a software where you can see yourself working in maybe one project related to a banking system. The very next project, you might be working in the healthcare department. The next project very next to it is maybe in a very high paced IT industry itself, and then you could be working for a hospitality or a hotel business system where you are using the Salesforce platform. So this is a good platform you can work with, and based upon that, you can already start thinking about it. That in terms of location and in terms of concentration, for example, a lot of people have to move based on where job locations are. So, for example, if you are basically related to a bio industry, there are particular hubs where there are a lot of jobs. So for example, New Jersey, like San Francisco, maybe part of Maryland, maybe there are some other Boston areas where there are a lot of pharmaceutical companies. So if you belongs to one of those industries, you have to kind of move in certain areas. Similarly, if you belong to a industry where it is spread out throughout the US, and you have you want to a profession where you don't have to be very limited because of the nature of the work you are doing. Salesforce is a really good option because pretty much it can be used in almost all different varieties of the work. So let's say if you're planning to move to a different state, or in the state that you're working and your current job does not have a lot of opportunities, this is a good platform to get your expertise in, and you can able to get a decent job in the area where you want to be or you are intent to basically live in. So that's one of the features about working in a CRM or a Salesforce platform, that it will give you a variety of location and also variety of the domains that you work in. You are not restricted to a particular domain or a particular industry. All right, so continuing to the same one, just put all those in a little bit bold fashion. So hospitals, telecom, financial institutions, sports, media, pharmaceuticals, IT, call centers, constructions, and the list will go on and on. And especially for the folks, I know some of you belong to the DC area. There are a lot of like a government is also pretty big on Salesforce and some other CRMs, and there's a separate division for Salesforce that work for governments, and there's a lot of jobs in government sector, and especially, I mean, there's one um, I would say concern for IT professionals is a lot of jobs being outsourced to different companies, and obviously Salesforce cannot be excluded from that fact. However, there are jobs that are very sensitive, or the data is very sensitive, where at times the companies or institutions, or especially government, do not want to offshore the work. That's where you got even more privilege, because if you are in the region, or if you are working, if you are local in the market, then obviously they need to hire people from the local market, because they don't want normally to share the data which is more sensitive in nature. It could be IT, it could be related to medical, it could be related to journal public, it could be a sensitive data with the social security numbers, with the users information, and so on and so forth. So in that case, that's why there are a lot of information which is very pertain to the local market. Also, another fact is that because, and I'll discuss a little bit more in detail, Salesforce or any CRM system almost become like a backbone of the actual business. So whatever business is using, and if they deploy a Salesforce platform, that will become the core of the business. So the business will actually revolves around the Salesforce, and the person who is working is become a very prominent person in a company. The reason being that he needs to be reached for anything and everything. The reason is your all collaboration with the customers goes through Salesforce, and any question you have in a Salesforce, any any new leads or any questions, or you need to launch a new marketing objects or anything like that, you probably need to contact with this person. So from the very top, from the CEO level all the way down to a regular customer support engineer, will all be in contact with the Salesforce person, because the management part of it, like CEOs, directors, managers, they need to know what is going on. They need to run different reports. They need to know dashboards. They need to know on a daily basis how their business is performing, how they can improve, how they can basically increase the sales, how they can launch more marketing campaigns. And from the perspective of the support engineers or the sales engineers, they needs to know how many sales channels that they have, and what are the cases assigned to them, what is their day to day basically task if they have to do it. So it basically covers pretty much all different levels in an organization. All right. So again, there's just on a very high level, just to show you the sales for economy level. These are some of the areas like in UK, US. I mean, most of the first world countries like US, Canada, Europe, even a lot of Middle Eastern countries now like Dubai, Saudi, Qatar. They all have started using some of these sophisticated Salesforce platforms, and they are becoming like a big part of it, because as I said, they become like a real backbone of a system. So if you're running a system where you have 100 employees, and then you have let's say 100 licenses of Salesforce, you definitely need a dedicated person, or maybe more than one dedicated person, to basically monitor and manage the Salesforce person. That's where our job comes in, that you can become like a Salesforce admin person or a developer, or you can be a combination of the two, and you can work for a company full time, where you are basically managing their day to day job and creating and expanding the system for them. Also, I will discuss in a little bit more detail that these systems are usually integrated with other systems. So what does that mean is basically, let's say you are using Salesforce as a CRM, but you also have a separate financial system. So what it does is basically it will take a feed from the financial system, and then it will input the information into your Salesforce, and then it will update based upon whatever record you're looking. So I'll talk about a little bit more, what does it record mean, how does the business run. But just on a very high level, the Salesforce will basically talk to different systems which are integrated in any particular business, and basically based upon that, it will run and basically give you information in one location. So it is kind of a coordination tool also, where if you have different departments like sales, support, and marketing, project management, they all able to go to one location, able to talk to each other, and once they open a particular account or a record, they can able to see anything which is going on in terms of different departments. So we'll talk about a little bit more in detail. Okay, any questions so far for what we have discussed on a very high level?
I have one quick question. This is positive. So from 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 engagement standpoint, right? If you are starting a CRM solution for someone who's starting off to cover their sales piece of business, for instance, if we would want to use as a sales solution, but we are a startup company,
Sure.
let's say, giving example, I, I in past have tried, maybe it was might not be the right approach, but um, how do they work in terms of, pricing and so forth? It's not that it's not that easy. They're different. They want you to get different modules of it to really make it work, like having to have the listing, the amount of listing that will be sufficient for initial start off, and then the modules that you need to make it work. How does it benefit, and if it can benefit cost wise later on, if you can give it a little bit of what is it, who is it good for? Can someone that's a startup with a single owner, or a group of maybe 5 people investing starting off, would that work for them? What sort of um, you know financially, how much do you really need to have need to forecast for a year to start off it?
Sure. Sure. So again, it becomes more kind of a cost specific. So I can give you a very high level view of it, and then we can move on. So in terms of costing, what they do is, probably as you mentioned, they have multiple ways that you can adopt it. So they have like a sales cloud, they have a service cloud, they have a marketing cloud, they have IoT cloud, they have a lot of different different part of it that you can basically combine. And again, as I said, you can start off with one component of it, and then you can kind of add on multiple components as you go, and they will be kind of a seamlessly joined within them once you have like one cloud setup. So what it does is basically they provide you, their structure is such that they have like a monthly charge, but you have to get a yearly contract. They start anywhere from $60 and they go all the way up to $300 per license per month, based upon your business. If it is a nonprofit, they also provide of 10 licenses for free that you can utilize, and basically they are good enough to run any decent size non-profit organization. In terms of small businesses also, there are different modules that you can use, like a basic modules where you can able to start with with that. Obviously, if you need to get more information, you need to get more, so one of their modules is like a marketing cloud, sales cloud. So you can start off with the sales cloud, then you can use it. However, if you want to generate more leads and you want to get more database, obviously then you have to then you have to basically add on like a marketing cloud, and then it will give you more privilege, but again that comes with a cost. So in this session, obviously I'm not trying to go and discuss all part of their financial, but obviously it can be used based upon kind of a business that you are in. And obviously you can start off with something on a small level with their cheapest license. Basically you can set it up, and then you can add, at least you can start off with your current customers. So whatever customers you have, you can put all the information without any additional cost. You can maintain them. You can link it with your any other outside application you are using. So let's say as a small business, a lot of small business actually start off with the Google account. So they have a Google business account, and let's say they start off with that. So they use their calendars, they use Google Sheets, they use Google Outlook, they use a lot of things. So you can directly, without like almost seamlessly, connect the Salesforce with the Google, and anything that is coming in your Google business account comes directly into the Salesforce, and then basically start maintaining. You have a let's say you have a Google Sheets where you have a lot of data. You can use that to basically input that information into Salesforce first directly. Then also you can integrate your Google Calendar, so anything that is coming up, so that it will basically seamlessly work with your Salesforce. Also, so this is one example where you integrate your Google with your Salesforce. Now, if you have some other systems that you use, let's say you have a customized system for your company that have your information about the product that you're selling. So either you can basically take everything inside CRM, but let's say if it is a platform that you are using and you want to continue to use it, you can actually integrate that with the Salesforce, and you can have now everything coming into the Salesforce, and then it will basically combining the information with your Google account, where you can connect the parts that you're selling to a company, and then the emails, the invoices that are coming in together. So in it will give you kind of a collaboration view where you can able to connect different applications that you're currently using into one view. Otherwise, let's say if you're not using such a system like a Salesforce, then probably you might have to do all of these things manually, and in that way there's a good chance that you can miss some information, or you need to continuously dig the information from your inboxes, or from the different documents that you have, and so on and so forth. So this is how basically it collaborate, and as I said, it can be used on a lower level, and as I said, the cheapest license I believe is $60. That can start off like a one license. Obviously it depends how many users you have, so each user needs a license in order to utilize Salesforce, unless you are sharing the license. So for example, it's the same system, and you need to just you need one license to basically log into the system. Now if you have multiple users, obviously you need to add the licenses on top of it in order to access separately, so that everybody has their own account, has rights, what they can see and what they cannot see. So we'll discuss some more details about that in next few slides. All right. So next is basically just to understand the business process CRM. So very very generically, what is a business process? Like how does a business work? And because that will depict how the Salesforce works, because that's how you will basically gonna integrate Salesforce for your business. So what happens for any business in generically? Obviously, there could be exceptions, that you have a pre-sales department where you are reaching to your customers in order to make them a customer. So you have a pre-sales engineers, you have a pre-sales, you have a sales department who are basically doing cold calls. You have different marketing strategies. You are either doing commercials, you are you are reaching out from in different ways, from Google ads, you have a LinkedIn post, you have Facebook, you have Twitter, whatever medium you are using, you are trying to reach your customers and you are trying to engage them so that if they need something they can come to your business. So that is all come under pre-sale. So that is one of the uh, sales area which is very very helpful when you are using some sort of CRM. And obviously, we are talking about Salesforce. So Salesforce obviously started from this model where it was basically designed for the sales, and then they basically expanded over time to all these different technologies that ultimately being used by a company. Once you have pre-sales, you somebody contact you that okay, I need your product, that becomes your a potential client. It's not a client yet, but become a potential client. So it's kind of a lead. So we will use this word in coming future. So lead is somebody that is kind of interested in your business, maybe looking in different product, not necessarily your product alone, but he's interested in one of the product that you're offering, and he might be interested in your product but is not basically sold out yet, but he could be a potential customer. So for that customer, what you really need, so if you know somebody is interested, obviously when you shop around, when you even look into online, first thing they try to get is somehow the information related to you. Can you please give your phone number? Can I get your email address? Or in most cases they try to log in through and get the basic information somehow so that they can able to reach you, so that they can give their material to you, they to try to show off their product, or somehow to get engage you more personally so that they can sell their product. So you need a contact information. As soon as once you broadcast on a higher level, you trim it down to particular contract context, and then basically if they really like your product, they buy it, then you actually deliver. So your delivery department will comes in. Then let's say if you have something that you need to install or provide the services, you provide that. And then everything is completed, you got your PO done, everything is completed. But in some cases you also have a after sales support as well. So you provide, let's say you're providing you're selling a car, you sell the car, they buy a brand new car from you, but then they provided after sales services like a free oil change or something. Or they say okay, you can come for the services, you can come for cleanup, you can come for whatever that is, in order to get you engaged with the system so that the next time you need something related to that particular service, they can able to service you without letting you go to the another business for that. So after sales is as important as the pre-sales, because in this case you already have the information, and all this information that you are using, this is basically used to get more services from the customers that you have the information for. So that's why when you have the information like CRM system and all these systems become very very vital in order to increase your sales. Because let's say you have 100,000 customers currently, they have either bought something for you or maybe inquired something for you, or maybe they visited your web page, in any shape or form they kind of are contacted with your business, and you have their basic information in terms of either their phone number or email address. So what you can do next time when you have a new strategy or marketing technique, you're sending it out, you're basically able to send it to all these customers. And they can able to see what you're offering. So in that way you can able to reach and you can increase your sales. You can basically in terms of, and then you can further divided them on a very specific levels, that who are the really more potential customers who are just reviewing it. And then you can basically strategize your marketing policies based on that. So all this information is available in the Salesforce, which can able to help you. And that's why you can see anything which is related to sales and increasing the productivity, companies and businesses are ready to spend money on. That's why the Salesforce become or making so much money, because anything that pertains to increase the sales or increase the business, businesses are open to invest. That's why even in terms of jobs, these jobs are getting more and more in demand, because once they deploy Salesforce, then they need people to manage it, optimize it, increase it, and so on and so forth. So in that case they can able to get more and more business. So just with all that background, this is now kind of we establish a fact what is CRM. So ultimately, this is more of a written definition of CRM is a customer relationship management technology that allows businesses, both large and small, to organize, automate, and synchronize every facet of customer interaction, including marketing, sales, customer service, and support. This technology has been widely embraced throughout the business world. In fact, research says by year 2017, CRM will have growth to encompass worldwide market about 36 billion and so on and so forth. So it can be used in so many domains. This is what the CRM kind of stands for. That this is a customer relationship management tool, and it can give you analytics, automation, customer services improvement, response to customer needs, time savings to improve customer knowledge. And basically the list will go on and on. All right. So I'm kind of just, going through these slides a little bit faster so that once we cover everything, then we'll take more specific questions or try to show you the Salesforce platform as well. But this will just to establish a little bit background about maybe the things that kind of important for you. So in terms of, for just for understanding that where the Salesforce is using, especially for the folks who might know Salesforce but not really know, where does it really use. So for example, like you are doing sales and support. So it covers sales, marketing, support are the three biggest areas where the any CRM will be used. So sales is obviously where you sell a product, marketing is where you promote your product, and support is where once you buy a product or during when you're buying, you provide the support for installation or for providing the services. The actual services comes under support, and then marketing and sales basically come in order to push the support to get more customers for your business. So they all basically comes into one bucket in order to each of the stakeholder able to get information which do not necessarily belongs to their domain. So for example, if a support person is working on a particular client, and he wants to know, okay, when did they actually buy the product, because they need to know what version they might be using, right? So they, or how many licenses they have. So instead of asking from the customer, they can directly, if they're using a Salesforce, they can just go to the customer information and able to see, okay, when did they buy the product, how many licenses do they have, any other related information that they're looking for. In terms of marketing guys, let's say they are trying to launch a new marketing campaign. So marketing is very much synonymous with the campaign. So probably I just want to introduce some of the technical terms in within used in Salesforce, which are common terminologies, but they use it on a very for a very specific usage. So campaigns is also, lead is also another term, campaign is also another term that they use it, become very Salesforce kind of a term, but they are obviously a very generic term. So what campaign is basically, let's say you want to launch a new campaign for your product, that or during the month of December, you will have 50% off on all your merchandise, for example. So let's say this marketing campaign you want to build, but you want to build it a couple of months ahead of time. You want to make it look nicer. You want to reach this to all of your audiences in order to have them take advantage of this new marketing campaign that you are launching. So how would you get that? So if I'm a marketing person, I need to know first of all, okay, who are my target audience, who are my existing customers, how do I reach to them. So probably that information I can get from the existing customer portfolio that I already have. So let's say if I have maybe let's say 200 customers, active customers, so I can take that list, I can use that so that I can send either a text messages or maybe an email brochure, or even I can send sometimes a hard copy of the mail to their addresses if we have the addresses available. Then maybe we can also see, okay, what are the related fields that we are working on. So let's say one of your target audiences are IT folks who buy a lot of IT stuff, or they are very interested in gadgets and things like that. So that will give you an idea that, okay, this is kind of audience that I'm looking for. So what kind of approach should I go? Should I more invest my money in Facebook or Twitter or these kind of platforms, or should I go traditional way of approaching it? Things like that. So all that information you can grab from the information from the sales bucket, and you can go to that and you can actually export different reports. You can create create your own reports. You can have your own dashboards that can show you all that information, and you can use it for that purpose. So all of these information, because they're available in one location, you can able to use it. Now, in terms of support, for example, just give you an example. Let's say if I'm working as a support engineer, and I kind of just kind of a newbie, I just joined the company. I got a call for a issue that is happening with one of the customers. Now, how can a Salesforce can help? So basically, let's say if somebody is looking that they have installation issues for a product that we are selling. So what I can do is basically Salesforce provide you a location where you save all the documents, and also you can search prior cases which are completed and closed. So what I can do is basically go back and look for the similar cases that have been in the past worked on, and I see the explanation of those cases, that how did they resolve, and use that directly. We can also put a lot of different information in the documentation section, so you can directly reach out to the documentation section. Maybe there is a already document available that you just basically pick it up from there and just send it to your customer. Hopefully that will resolve the issue and you are done with that, so very quickly. Also, let's say if you have a support system where you have like 100 or 200 people sitting in there, you need to know how many cases are coming, and you are, let's say you are a manager of that support system. So what it does is basically all the support people will be logging through Salesforce, so you know exactly how many cases are open right now. What are how many cases are open for a week? How many cases are open for 2 weeks? How many cases a particular person has closed in a day, in a week? So you can basically know the performance of each person. You also need to know how many cases come up in a day, in an hour. How maybe if we have a lot of delays, maybe we might need more people to hire. So it can give you a view of forecasting that okay, we might need to hire more people, or we have a lot of wait time. What is the resolution time? So how do you get all this information? So Salesforce basically logging all this information. So if somebody comes in, they log it, they create a case, everything will be in one location. So once they close the case, the information is actually there. If it is open, then information is there. So you can basically run different type of reports, dashboards, and on your phone or a mobile device or a laptop, whatever you are using, you can able to see on the run. So anything which is open currently, you can able to see it on a run time. Now that is something you cannot really attain if you're not using any automated or a cloud-based system. There are systems available. There are a lot of customized system that people use, but not necessarily they are cloud based, not necessarily they are running in a current time, and you can get information that quickly, because the reports, usually the systems that I worked with in the past, you have to make customized reports which normally require some sort of software intervention, that you need to write a code for creating a particular kind of a report or a dashboard. In Salesforce, they make it very easy to do. So you can, any person who is using as a basic user of a Salesforce, they can go in and they can basically use some filters that okay, any case which is open, assigned to me, this is the time period, show me all my case. It will just show you. You can export the report. If you're a manager, you can say okay, for this particular day or a week, I need to know how many cases are open, how many cases are closed. Just run the report, boom, you get a report right there. And you can keep running the different kind of reports that you need to. You don't need to ask anybody to do it. You can also, if you have a particular set of reports that you need every day, or on a certain periodicity, you can just schedule those reports. So every morning or whatever time you choose, those particular scheduled customized reports will be in your inbox, and you can just open that and review it. Lot of good features available. As I said, is very intuitive and very easy to use, and is very custom friendly, and it can do a lot of things that you can imagine that you want to do for your business. Any questions so far that we have discussed? I know I have now covered a couple of topics. Okay, so I have few. As I said, I'm sorry about that. I haven't keep looking in the chat window, but now I just open it. So Anila just mentioned that the Kaiser and MedStar in medical are now implementing Salesforce. So that's a big news. You know how big Kaiser in some of the areas, especially the folks who are living in West Coast. Kaiser used to be really huge in West Coast back in the day. Now they have it pretty much expanded throughout US. Even in our area now, they're really big in East Coast. And I know from the past that they were really huge in West Coast, and especially in California and some other region. I believe they started from there, but they are really huge in there. Even actually, my parents were through Kaiser, so they are huge. Similarly, like MedStar, and then I know a couple of other financial institutions and banks. They have recently adopted Salesforce. Huge potential. So basically you can imagine if a bank has like 700 branches, they probably need people who either know Salesforce or have some information about Salesforce, or they need people who can implement the system. They need people who can manage the system, and the list will go on. I have another question from Ahmed. What kind of modules are there within Salesforce, and as an admin, or do we have to be specific on a module, or a journal admin certification is good enough? Okay, so let me answer for Ahmed. So the admin part of it that comes up is basically when you are an admin, pretty much you can able to do most of the jobs in terms of administration of the Salesforce for multiple modules. So that's why this is one of the start of certifications that is recommended to do an admin. The reason is it's more generic to Salesforce. So it doesn't necessarily very specific to just Sales Cloud or Marketing Cloud or Support Cloud. It's kind of a generic in nature, because when you are an admin and let's say you are using 3 or 4 or 5 module, or just one module, whatever that you are using, you might need to entertain that. So the way they design the admin course and certification and the job title is you pretty much able to manage that. So how does it really relate it? So what I have is basically, in order to give you a better understanding what really admin means, I have like a small demonstration at the very end once we cover a few other slides, that I will kind of try to relate that to a real life like example that pretty much I believe all of you are accustomed to. That will give you a little bit more broader view, what does really admin mean, and what does like a how is it different than a developer, and what does it mean to me if I want to pursue my career as an admin, and what do I really need? Do I need coding techniques, or what background should I have to have in order to become an admin? If I don't have any IT background, can I still be able to use Salesforce? Yes or no, whatever. So we'll cover some of those topics in after next few slides, and is exactly the example that I thought of is basically will work with that. So let's move on. If there are no questions for the previous content. So cloud versus software. So the Salesforce, obviously now it's probably not the biggest thing to mention, because now everybody is very accustomed to a cloud computing, because now it's like a everyday word. But if you can imagine, when they started off almost 10, 15 or more years back, that was a big deal. So what really used to happen back in the day for the different systems like Siebel or SAP, or even a lot of these systems which are existing or are customized systems, that you need to have like a hardware purchased, need to have a room where you actually put it there. You need to establish that. You have to run it. You have to have a lot of hard drive data to store that, and then you can use it. And also, if you are not able to log into that system, you cannot able to get that information. So the system used to be very expensive, because they were not cloud based, and they were basically, you need a lot of hardware in order to actually create a system. So it was very localized system. It was not in order to have that system deployed. So I think Wasif has asked that, what does it really take in terms of monetary? So you can imagine, if you are like a small company of 10 to 15 people and you want to install something on your own, you need to first of all buy the processing power. So you need to buy a bunch of hardware, you need to buy storage devices, you need to have a room which is running, you need to have a backup power, you need to have full-time IT person who basically install on the different systems, has created the system, and then basically who needs to monitor, and then everything will be more kind of a localized. Maybe you can use a VPN to able to log into a devices which are sitting, but again they are not directly accessible by outside devices, in terms of a direct connection like we have now with the cloud. So a lot of challenges were there. It was actually a really costly proposition to have, and even more costlier um, to maintain it, because every couple of months, let's say for example you put a system, and you need to basically think about it. Okay, how many customers maybe I will be serving? So let's say you are a business who serves 1000 customers on average. However, there are times where you have a certain months where your 1000 customers become periodically, just for those couple of 3 months, become like 5000, and then again for the rest of the year, the rest of the 9 months, they just still be like 1000 or less customers. Now you need to basically buy a hardware and softwares in order to match the maximum, like a 5000. That's the only way you can support 5000 in your busy hour. However, for the rest of the time, you're only using like portion of that investment that you are doing. So that's why it become, so the scalability was very costly, and you probably have devices and hardware sitting there doing nothing, and you only using it because you need to for the busy season or whenever you have that. So scalability was a problem, hardware was a problem, and then again you can imagine that every couple of months a software, new things comes up, new patches comes up. You might have new software, you have a new version, so you need to install and keep up with that, and you have to do all those patches, and you have to do all those things. So you need to have a more than one person basically in order to just to maintain the systems, adding with the hardware costs, adding with the components that you have. So it's kind of a very expensive proposition to have. Now that's where the cloud computing comes up, and you can able now these systems, like for example Salesforce, the main reason why it become a very distinctive CRM is because they were almost the first one to step into the cloud world. So what they did is basically they basically see the problem that how expensive is that. They created their cloud system, and what they started offering is just a license that you can buy, and all of these things will be taken care by them. So you can just buy a license, and you can log in, and that's it. You just need a browser, you just need a laptop or a computer, or these days like an iPad or a phone, whatever, and you can just log in, use it, everything, and everything else will be taken care by the Salesforce in the cloud computing. So they will store it, they will make sure there's a backup available, they will make sure how many data that you need. If you need to expand, you can just you can expand it. If you need more people are actually coming in, let's say you hire 10 more people, you just buy 10 new licenses, you don't need to upgrade any hardware or software. If you have reduce people, then next year whenever you need to re-sign your licenses, you can reduce the number of licenses. So become very flexible. So when the companies saw that, they just take it by surprise, and they just surpass everybody, and that's how they become like a leader. So one of their biggest kind of a step is they become the first one, and they become a leader in cloud computing in terms of CRM, and that's why they are at the position where they are right now. So again, Salesforce is fully cloud computed solution where everything is on cloud, on a Salesforce cloud. You don't need to worry about the installations and things like that. All you need is just a browser where you can log in with your user ID password. Everything you do it will be stored in a cloud, and then you can access and you can log out, and you can log in with using any device, not even your. So for example, I belong to a particular IT company where we have to use the company laptop because they are imaged by the company, and if I try to log into my system or try to access some of the applications that we have, I cannot from any other laptop. So it's become like, so you cannot really have a liberty to access with variety of devices or out of your network. So this will, like, the Salesforce or cloud computing, provide you that you can log in from anywhere. So you're traveling, you're going to your home company, you're on a vacation, you are doing whatever, you can log in from any device that you are using, and you can still work or view or whatever, and you know what is going on. You can answer the emails, you can answer the whatever you want to do it, basically you can do it. So that's where you can still getting a very up to date information on your devices for the Salesforce. So that's where the the difference comes up, that this belongs to the one of the modules for that. Now the next is, again, this is kind of a very high level view, just to give you some aspects of what kind of services is being offered. So there's something called IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. I don't know if I'm sure some of the IT folks already know about it. So basically, these are three different kind of approaches to a IT solution. So either you can have the first one I would like to mention is IaaS, which is an infrastructure. Infrastructure as a service. IaaS stands for as a service. So if you have infrastructure as a service, which means that somebody will provide you infrastructure, so you don't need to buy your infrastructure, so you can just pay for the infrastructure that you need on a particular time, and use the infrastructure and develop and do whatever you want to do. So for example, you are working in a pharmaceutical, and you have a new drug ready for testing, right? And you need to run 1,000 hours of processing. Okay, so let's say if I'm the manager of that task, or if I'm managing that particular thing, what I need to have is I need to have a processing power that will run for that 1,000 hours, and I need a very fast processor because this is very, very complex processing. And I need to run it 24/7 and need to make sure it doesn't interrupt at any point of time. And I have a particular requirements that the system have that much RAM, it has that much system, it needs to be a specific software module, specific kind of a storage, so that this will run on a particular speed, and this is what I need. So if I'm not using any IaaS system, I need to actually buy that hard piece of hardware and basically use it, and probably I might not need it for a really long time. So this is kind of an investment. I don't really want to do it. So what they come up with nowadays is, like, for example, the best example is Amazon. So you probably heard, pretty much everybody heard about the AWS services. Is almost a very hot topic these days. So AWS is basically Amazon Web Services provide you the hardware. So what they do is basically you can go to the AWS, you can sign up, and you can choose whatever you want. So let's say you need the most fast paced computer. Obviously, the price per hour will be more based upon what kind of system you're using, but they almost go up to an hour, or like almost like sometime you can bid on the minutes also. So they have a lot of options that you can do it. But basically you can buy the processing power, you can buy how much RAM do you need, how much storage do you need, and then you can basically start your work and just do whatever you want to do it. And once you are done, basically those resources go back until the next time you need it. So this is called infrastructure as a service, where somebody already installed the infrastructure. So what AWS has done, because they have to have these data centers around the globe. Again, they have some busy seasons and they have some very dull seasons. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, around 2004-5 time frame, the Amazon comes up with the idea that we have so much data centers available, and a lot of computers are not doing anything when there is a slow period. Why not kind of rent them out, and if somebody need it, they can pay a certain amount and just use it, and then whenever they are done, we can take it back. And basically during our busy system, we'll, whatever is available, we can rent out. If we need to use it, we need to use it. So that's how it started, and it just become a huge market. So AWS is, as I said, is a huge area where a lot of companies buy their computing power, and they use it, and they basically work. And then once they are done, they can take it back, and you can even pretty much is on demand whenever you need it, whatever you need it, how much you need it, you pay for it, and that's it. Once you're done, you are done. And whenever you need it next time, you only need to pay for that particular stretch of time. So it becomes a big thing. But again, that is only infrastructure. So now let's say if you don't know how to set up account, how to set up the EC2 and S2 and S3, and all these terms are very alien to you, then obviously you need an expert on that. That's where the AWS certified professional comes in, and they set up the infrastructure for you to use it. And they, at the end of the day, it becomes like just to log in and put your data and start processing kind of a thing. But you need kind of intermediate engineers in order to do that. However, sometimes it's if you're doing a very basic job, it could be something very simple, and you can also do it on your own. The second platform, which is a little bit more customized, is PaaS, which is a platform as a service. So what does a platform means? That okay, not just the raw infrastructure. So a very good example of understanding the system is the infrastructure. Let's say if you need to make a pizza, and then so what you need for the pizza, first of all, you need to have a kitchen, right? If you don't have a kitchen, you cannot even make it. So the complete kitchen is basically so somebody, so you can basically shop how much, how many knives do I need, how many fridges do I need, how what kind of stoves do I need. So you can buy all these things separately, right? And then you need to put together yourself. So you basically put your fridge, you buy different things separately, and how to integrate that, that's your problem. You need to know how to integrate all that. What you need is also your problem. You need to know what kind of fridge do you need, which capacity do you need, right? So if you have experience, you can buy the right one. Otherwise, you might not able to buy the right one. So as I said, not everybody is to that level where they really understand what kind of hardware do they need. So that's where this next platform comes in, which is PaaS, which is more like a second stage where everything is set up, your kitchen is set up, everything is set up, they're already providing you, but you really need to know how to cook. So you have all the hardware available, but you need to make the dough yourself, you need to put all the ingredients yourself, you need to know how to put the ingredients. So that part of it, you still need to know how to really cook the pizza, and how long do you need to cook it, and things like that. So that's where some of these platforms like Google app. So what is Google app is obviously there, you can have a Google app where you can download the app, is not part of it, but how to build an app. So obviously they already providing a easy way to build all that, but still you need to know the technique, the underlying software, that how to build it. Basically, let's say you are using PHP, or you're using any language that you really need to build all those applications, you need to know that. So that is still not very user friendly. You need to know a certain software technologies in order to build them, but they are kind of a easy. Hardware is there, software is there, you just need to know how to make the pizza. Now the third and the last step, which we are more interested in, becomes SaaS, which is like a service as an application. Now services, you just go in any of the pizza shop, and you said, okay, I need a large pizza. So they just bring a pizza to you, and you just basically start eating it. So that's where the SaaS comes in. So somebody is basically doing everything for you, and just making a pie for you, and it's ready for you to eat it. So you can directly just start and having the actual work that you need to do, which is for example, in terms of Salesforce, start using the application. So you don't need to worry about the hardware that you need, you don't really need to worry about the software, you don't need to like basically build a system, but you can directly start using it. So when I talked about in like a couple of slides back that you need customization and all that, obviously that comes in. But if you have a very basic model, then obviously you can just use it as is. This is available, you just need like a few trainings in order to start using the system, and you can use the system as is. Now If you really want to customize it, if you really want to have a feel and look and the functionality that you wanted, obviously you can customize as much as you need. But it does come in a shape and form there where you can actually use it. And for that very specific purpose, I will show you an example of our Outlook that I'm sure everybody use it. How does it relate to kind of a Salesforce? Just to give you a background, especially for the folks who never use Salesforce, or kind of they don't have idea what Salesforce really means to them. But basically, in a very basic fashion, it is kind of a ready-made stuff that you can use it. However, you can still customize as much as you want. So hopefully that might have give you an idea what does these couple of platforms really mean. All right, so just combining a couple of things together. So Salesforce, we just establish a fact. It is a CRM. It is a cloud computing that makes a Salesforce really strong. In terms of requirement, I just mentioned previously that all you need is a web browser in any device, in a phone, in a laptop, in iPad, iPhone, laptop, whatever you are using, and an internet connection. So you are sitting in a beach, enjoying enjoying your food or whatever, and then basically you can still basically working on CRM Salesforce, and you can either as a manager looking to the performance, or responding to your clients, or if you're an agent, you can still able to respond to your customers calls and whatever, and you can able to respond via emails and whatnot. So everything is available. All you need is basically a simple device and an internet connection in order to work on Salesforce. In terms of remote access, no VPN connections, and you can work typically from any location in the world. Okay, now we are kind of a zero in on Salesforce. Almost, few slides are left. So there are multiple. So when they started off, obviously they started on a small level, but now because of the applications, because of the usability, they keep adding, and not necessarily you all need to work on everything. You will be more focused on the area that you are looking into in future. However, the admin portion of it will kind of touch most of these areas in some fashion. So you can have kind of a bare minimum information about everything, so that whenever you work as an admin, you have some idea about everything. And when you kind of a more specialize in a particular domain, then you actually get more certification. So admin is kind of a start off certification where you can get kind of information across the board. So you touch pretty much everything on some of them more, some of them less. But again, if you work on a particular area more focused, more like anything else, like you have a example of a doctor. So you have a journal doctor, journal physician, which basically able to check anything in journal. But let's say if you have a problem with your ear, or your heart, or your with the kids or whatever, then you go to a specialist who is a ENT specialist, or a child specialist, or a heart specialist. And then if you need to do even more, that okay, you go to a heart specialist, but he said, there's something more serious going on. You might need to have a more detailed one. So you basically probably need to go and see a surgeon, if he needs to operate or something. So you need another level where they can actually go in and fix it. Same thing over here. So you can start off with a very high level. Admin is something you can look into that, but he's not a specialized person. He's more of a generic person that can handle. But if you need more specific, and obviously as a journal physician, if in terms of their salaries, they're almost at the lower end. Now if you go a little bit more advanced and you focus on an area, you become a ENT, or you become like a heart specialist, or whatever that is become a little bit more higher level, because you're special. You have a specialty. Out of those all, you have a specialty. Now even then, if in that particular domain you are become even more special, you become like a surgeon, or you become like a heart surgeon, or whatever that is, you become even more on a higher level. You are very very specific, but you are kind of a master in what you're doing, and pretty much everything, become like an architect kind of a person. So the level of compensation also goes up as much specific and as much expert you become. And that usually driven by the initial exposures that you have. So let's say you get a job in sales domain, you're working there, obviously you are trying to get more information, maybe certifications related to that, and then you go on to that path and you become like a sales certified, you become maybe a developer, you also become, ultimately the goal is to become an architect. So the architect is somebody who's very, very specialized in a particular one, and there are multiple ranges of architect that you can become. And you can become like a sales, you can become like, like a development arena architect, or you can become more of a consultant architect. So there are multiple domains that you can go into, and every couple of months they come up with a new area where you can focus, because the way it is being growing. Just to give you another idea, I did not cover all of them. I have some IoT, I have apps, I have analytics, I have, but in some of more detail. So, for example, within the analytics, they have AI, which is artificial intelligence. So they already have artificial intelligence module built in, and they already started offering, I believe, couple of months back with their last release. So obviously they are for a very high-end customers, because it's very expensive. So only very high-end customers can utilize them. But as the technologies grows, become more widely available, they have that. So they have IoT, which is Internet of Things, which means that you have devices which are interconnected. So they have a cloud where if some company or some for example, Verizon offers IoT, which means that they can connect multiple devices. So what it means is basically, once you are in your car, you can have access to multiple things. Maybe you can have access uh, um, to your insurance provider, that if your car goes bad, you can directly contact with them, they are connected. Maybe you're connected with your home. Let's say before you come in, your car kind of give a signal to your home that, okay, now you're only 5 miles apart, and the different systems kicks in your home. What it means is, let's say if it is a cold season, your heater will start, so that by the time you reach, the home is already warm enough. Let's say you have your coffee maker is connected to the system, and you need a coffee, yeah, and the system knows already that once you reach in, you need it. It will kick in exactly time in a way that it will be ready by the time you basically get into the room. A lot of systems can kick in these days. That's what Internet of Things, that devices start talking to each other seamlessly without you intervening it. So right now, still, if the device is connected, you can remotely log in and do it, but that's not really Internet of Things. Internet of Things is where you can really, the devices start talking based on the preset conditions that you have, and they start kicking in. So by the time you reach near to your garage door, the garage door will open automatically, not just because of the sensor, but because these two devices are kind of interconnecting with each other. So the final push is basically, yes, you have a they know, they might not even have a sensor, but basically when it reach to a certain time, the car will basically say, okay, that's my GPS location, and then based on that, the garage door will open without even any sensor. So that's, I mean, these are some things, maybe they may be beyond Salesforce, but just to let you know that they all need some sort of cloud computing, right? So if you have IoT, which is Internet of Things, where does it all being processed? They need a cloud computing. So Salesforce also kind of a provider of a cloud computing. So they have IoT cloud where a lot of these things can be accommodated. They also have like what I mentioned, like AI, artificial intelligence, where you can predict things. You can start taking a large amount of data, start predicting things, start looking into things. They also have that. So a lot of things are there. So as I said, but again, I don't want to confuse you with a lot of things, but these are some things that, because a lot of people will ask, okay, what is the future? I mean, maybe if I learn Salesforce, invest all this time, invest all this money, and maybe down the road 2 years later, the Salesforce is done, basically there's no future. So just to answer that, yes, there is a future, because the good portion of the Salesforce is always looking into the new technologies, like Amazon, like Google. So some of these companies, if you are kind of attached yourself with the latest technologies, uh, you cannot go stray, because basically it will keep you to the line. However, the challenging part of it, you need to keep up with that. The things are changing with the lightning speed. The only drawback of all this is basically, like in the past, like if you, let's say if you learned construction, you make a bridge, the bridge which is being made 50 years ago and today is exactly the same. There is no change. So So the learning part was once you kind of a master to something, that's it basically, and you can just keep doing it again and again without using your brain power. However, in IT there is no escape with that, unfortunately. So if you are in IT, this is something that you been get ready for. There's no escape from that. That okay, I learned something today, and I just kind of stick with them, and I just relax, and basically, hopefully, this job will run through next 10 years or 5 years. I don't think so, because things are changing with the lightning speed. However, the other areas which were not directly affected by IT, now they are. So even they cannot escape it anymore. So even doctors, engineers, IT consultants, even business, even tax tax filing person, account, everybody's being touched by IT in some shape or form, and everything will be changing, as you can see right now. So rather being scared is better, just to get a hold on it and become master of something which will lead you to a better prospect in terms of jobs and stability, and also will give you an edge. So instead of getting worried about all that and keep swearing about okay, what's going to happen with my job, or robots will take my job, why not become somebody who will be working with robots rather than just sitting and basically waiting for something miracle to happen. So that's where the all the technology comes in, and it's better to be on a level where you feel comfortable with all that, because even we like it or we hate it, this is the reality we're gonna face it. So better, better equipped with that rather than complaining about it. Now, coming down to just to touch a little bit, and then basically we'll come back to the example of what I really want to show you is what kind of course contents we have. So again, there are a lot of things that you need to understand throughout the course, but as I said, I had tried in the past, and that's what my goal is, in order to keep you engaged in a way that it won't become just a presentation kind of a slide that I'm just presenting something, and you are just kind of phasing out or something. Today might be that because we are not really interactive, but that's normally not how I basically conduct my classes. It's very interactive, because today's obviously is just an intro section, so I don't want to spend too much time. I just want to everybody to get back to their regular schedule. However, in our class, what we do is basically we just basically ask questions. We even try to have you read something up front and then come back and answer, so that we know you are understanding. Once you understand something, you get a grab of it, things become easy. Um, and as somebody says, if it is something hard, just just keep doing it till it become easy for you. So nothing is hard. A lot of people ask me, okay, how hard is that? I don't have IT experience, I don't have any experience in the CRM, things like that. So for all of them, just to let you know that this is the platform that at least you can start off. It doesn't require a hardcore coding experience, or even within the admin you might not be even coding at all. That is the platform where at least you can enter. And obviously, if you want to progress, if you want to be in elite in that particular domain in IT, obviously you have multiple steps to take to become to that level. But at least to on a bare minimum level to enter, keeping in the same profession that you have, most of your are either belong to a non-profit or a marketing or an IT, you can still be in your same area of expertise, but now you have one extra gadget that you can use better than anybody else, and you can actually become you can basically get a better job based on that extra skill that you have now. So giving you an example is, I have a very close friend of mine who works in a banking industry. So he's in a Maryland area, and he's one of the branch managers. Recently, they have, I think, as Anila mentioned, a lot of companies have recently in our area of the Washington D.C. and Maryland area has start. These are big names, not a small name, big names where you can have thousands and hundreds of thousands of customers and people who might be as an end customers. So they have basically start using Salesforce. So now what he mentioned to me, that every application which goes out, which has nothing to do with the IT, it could be a support person, it could be a person who you work with as a regular teller uh, responsibilities, or a branch manager or a divisional. If you have some sort of Salesforce experience, that is become counted as an added skill. So if you have 10 candidates and two of them have actually Salesforce background, they might pick you up right off the bat, because that's the system they are now about to implement, and everybody in their bank needs to be using it. So they need people who already know Salesforce so that they can help their other peers in order to come up with that, things like that. So similar with all the other businesses. Let's say you're working in a nonprofit. Now you either your current nonprofit is deploying the Salesforce, or you're moving to a different nonprofit where they do have a CRM system. Even if it is a different CRM from Salesforce, like a customized one or some basic one, you still have more knowledge that you can offer. All right. And I know one of you is also belongs to marketing. So I just attended a couple of months back another conference for the Salesforce, where they mentioned that marketing is one of their new upcoming area, because marketing was not focused in the past much, but now they are focusing a lot, and that's one of their main stream that they are focusing, and they're kind of a lot of their quarterly bonuses and things are kind of attached with the marketing module that they offer, because it's the area which is not being too much explored. But now they are exploring it in a more new ways, because of all these new technologies that you have available, which were um, not like skills in the past, like how you can reach out to your customers through Google Ads, how you can reach out to your customer through Facebook, Twitter, and all these, which the database is already available. So let's say Facebook, as soon as you sign up, they have so much data available. Google have so much data available. Salesforce have so much data available, because they are installed in so many organizations already. So now they're kind of come up with a model where you can utilize this by paying a small fee and use that big of a system in order to push your system to the next level. So marketing has become very hit. If you want to go in a YouTube and start looking into marketing cloud and see what they're doing recently, you can able to appreciate that how much focus is on marketing, because the sales support is already being established, is widely be used, is already number one. But kind of a new areas, which is IoT, marketing, and artificial intelligence, is the areas where now they're focusing more in order to basically do it. So now I'm gonna basically move to an example just to show you. But before that, any questions so far? I know I've been talking for a while, but I mean, any questions that you guys have? Are people still listening, sleeping, watching TV, or taking care of
No, we're
kids,
here.
or eating their meal, or what's going on?
No, we don't want to take you off course the admin training uh, sort of slide. It's
All
really
right.
yeah, but
Okay.
it's going. Yeah.
Okay. So any questions so far? Anila, Ahmed, Sayed, any questions? Okay. All right, so no questions. So let me continue. So what I'm gonna do is basically let me open up my inbox, and basically just to show you something, just to give you a very brief example, especially for the folks who are not familiar with the Salesforce, and probably I'll showing up Salesforce next once I show the inbox, just to kind of give you an idea what really is the Salesforce. So let me give me 2 seconds so I can. Okay, so basically, I'm sure everybody of you might have used Outlook in some fashion, and I'm sure you. Okay, I'm just Okay, can you guys hear me? Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I think I lost for a few minutes because I tried to connect a VPN in order to show my Outlook, in order to show some of the messages. But I think if I connect to the uh, my Outlook to the VPN, it just disconnect my voice. So anyway, so I try to see how can I show you. But just to give you an example of the Salesforce admin, right? So what is Salesforce admin? How does it really work? Is basically, let's say you are using a software called Outlook, right? So what is Outlook? Is basically just a software which is a SaaS software, which is an application where it's a service offered you as a as a service platform offered you as a service. Basically, is basically where you can just launch and start using it, right? So on a very basic level, if you download Outlook, you can just start sending emails, receiving emails, right? That's a basic functionality. You can do it, you can reply to all, and you can basically good with that. Now let's say if you're installing the Outlook on a machine for the very first time. I'm sure if you have done that, it has some technical aspects of it. If you want to see what kind of server you need to connect, like a POP, SMT, whatever, you also need to know where you are saving your PST files. You also need to know like the licensing module. You need to know your license. So what I'm saying is basically you need some information in order to even install and really work your Outlook in your machine. Now if you want to go a next step forward, so basically somebody will most probably, if you cannot yourself, it's not like a plug and play that you can just put the Outlook and it will start working, because there are certain things that need to be set up before you start looking into that. So what are those things? Is basically what kind of server you're using, how you're connecting, if you have a default message, if you have this and that, whatever, and you can basically set it up in order to use it. So let's say if you have an IT person in your company, he is the one, what he does is before you actually join the company, or before your first day, when he receives your laptop that you will be using, he install the Outlook for you. He takes care of the license. He also makes sure you got the appropriate license, because there might be multiple license. One is for a particular reason, one is maybe a high end license, whatever that is, if there are multiple layers of license. So based upon your job responsibilities, he will pick a license for you and he will install in your machine. If you're let's say if you're using Outlook, I'm sure you can understand there is a capacity that you need to have. So how many messages you need to have able to store. So he needs to make sure you have enough capacity assigned for that purpose. So your, let's say you have so many messages comes up, let's say 1,000 messages comes up every day. So you need a lot of space in order to save all those messages. So you need to set aside accordingly space where all these PSTs will be saved. Then let's say if your web browser is something which is connected to the cloud as well, he need to create a space on the cloud in order for you, in order to basically access your emails through a web browser. That's another portion of it. So what I'm trying to say is such a simple Outlook, which is just do your email back and forth. In order to properly set it up, you need a person who knows how to do it, like an admin person. So that's the administrative jobs that he will pick up the software for you. He install it based upon your requirements. He will provide all of these things. So when you start your first day, your email is all set up. You can able to log into your web browser which is connected to your Outlook, and able to see the emails which are stored on the browser on your cloud. And then if you need to move your computer to another computer, or if you're forget for example crash your computer, this person's know where your PSTs is being saved, and maybe it's been uploaded or backed up. So if your computer crashes or your system crashes or your system got infected, he can able to take that saved data, install a new, reimage your machine, give you another machine, and able to take all that information and able to transfer that to a new machine or reimage machine, right? Another administrative job. Now let's say everything is going good, you start sending emails back and forth. Now you need to set up different folders. So for example, if you see my screen, I have multiple folders here, like Outlook, Sandbox, traveling, tools. These are all folders that I made for myself. And what it does is basically, if a particular email comes up from a particular person, I want them to go directly into a particular folder. I mean, very basic task, but it's a task, right? So instead of everything just jumbled into my Outlook, and then when I see it, I have like every time I have like 15 emails to go through, and maybe I just, okay, these 5 emails are not relevant, either I delete or move it somewhere else, but I need to spend time. Rather, if any email comes up, if it is from a particular person, or if it is has a particular subject line, it goes to a predefined folder. Now my job is easy. Whenever I see a folder, if I see something which says my manager, boom, everything else drop, just check what my manager is asking for, right? Or if it is from a customer, I drop oh, let's see what customer is asking, right? Or if it is something more critical. So now it makes your life easier, because instead of going all the 15-20 emails every time you actually load up your Outlook, you have to go through in order to get to that. You have a system where things are done automatically, and you can just, every time you need to look into it, whatever your periodicity of looking at your Outlook, you go in there, you directly check your important information and basically get out. So it will save your time, increase your productivity, and becomes kind of a semi-automated system, right? You are getting what I'm saying, like just a way of doing things more automated or more professionally, which will save some time. Now let's say, yeah, is there a question? Okay, so all these things, what I'm trying to link in is basically for the admin part. Now coming back to Salesforce, I have a Salesforce actually. Okay, just a second. Let me get my password. Okay, just give me a second. Let me. Okay. So now let me log in into the Salesforce. So I will come back to the structure, but basically what it is basically, before you go in there, this is like a Salesforce platform. So in order to manage everything, in order to have people use it, somebody needs to get in and basically set it up. So you have something called setup, and what it does is basically you set up everything, that who can use it, how you can develop, who can able to log in, and all these information are basically in there. You can manage your users. You can able to see how you can add a user, so add or edit users, enable Salesforce, and basically reset user passwords, create a new role, create an edit. So what it does is basically, somebody can buy a Salesforce, maybe they can have some external vendor come in and do the whatever customization they need to do. So that's where you need most probably some of the developers who work in the Salesforce domain. So they come in, they create some different pages. So right now you have a particular look and feel. You have a Salesforce log, Salesforce tag there. You have a particular way how the things are coming. You don't like that. You want to have a very customized way. How does it look like? And maybe you need to have a different color combination. You have a different fields that you want to display. you have your own logo comes in, so you need to customize that. So let's say you hire a vendor who do everything for you. He set it up, he create a very customized version. You have your company logo comes in, you have a way, you have a fields and everything set it up. Now he goes away, and then the admin, who could be one of us who are 201 admin certified, who comes in. So what their normal day-to-day jobs look like. So just to give you an idea that if you get into this, what could be the initial couple of months that you can be doing, or how you can really start off in the admin certificate, in the admin domain. So what admin will do, like a Salesforce admin, is, let's say you are an admin, and you are basically setting up. So initially, if you are admin of a company who is setting up for the very first time, in that case, what you do is basically you are basically add or create a user. So you can basically add any user, provide the password, give them the basically you can give them their alias, which is their kind of a username that you use, and then whatever they are being used with, what is their role. So somebody is like a CEO, somebody is just a support person, salesperson, and then what kind of profile they have. I'll talk a little bit about profile, if their license is active, and you will assign them a particular license. So each user that you create need a license, right? And then the profile will basically govern that what kind of access do you have. So let's say your company is, you have 5 people. You have one who is a company CEO, and then rest of the 4 people who are using Salesforce are basically regular salespeople. So maybe the salespeople do not have the access to the final accounting information. So they might they you are okay with have them look into what they are generating in terms of revenue. So let's say if a salesperson A is making a sales of 50,000 a year, so he should be able to see what he's generating, but he should not be able to see what the other 3 people are generating. But you should be able to see everything, right? As a CEO, you should be able to see everything. And then let's say if you are let's say if somebody you are hired as an admin, he is the one who create a profile for everybody. So he create a profile which is, let's say, called CEO profile, just for basic understanding, and give a right to see everything in terms of in the Salesforce. So he has all the rights, he can do everything. Maybe he might not give all the rights, he will keep some edit rights from him, because he might make a mistake or whatever, or he says I don't need that, I can be only able to see it, so I don't make any changes, things like that. And then you have a salesperson, so he have a right to able to see everything. What he created was his accounts, is what his territory, but he should not be able to see the other Salesforce person accounts, what they have, how much accounts they are doing, how much transactions they are making, what other um, territory do they have. So you can only able to see what you have. But if there are accounts that are kind of interrelated, you can still able to see certain fields but not every field. So for example, you have a business model where a lot of sales people will coordinate on a particular account, right? Like let's say they coordinate on a AT&T account. All of them maybe work with the AT&T account because it's a huge account. So they should be able to see who is working on what, but they should still not be able to see how much monetary accounts that they're working on, or how much POs they are doing. So you can still hide the PO information from each of them. So the only person can see their PO, but in terms of contact information, or what kind of project they are doing, or marketing, things like you can still able to see it. So these are all very strictly controlled by profile. So this is called profile. So where you can actually control the profile, you can able to give access to each person accordingly, whatever they are basically looking for. So the one of the basic aspect of admin day-to-day job is create accounts, basically manage the different profiles that you're looking for. The next step comes in where you can, let's say you have a data coming from the outside sources. So let's say you have 5, as we discussed, you have 4 Salesforce engineers, and then you have 4 salespeople, and then one CEO. So all of them go to a trade show, right? And they all of them meet with multiple customers. They all come back with 200 leads, right? And they put all these leads into a particular Excel sheet and give it to you, right? Now what you can do is basically you need to import that information into the Salesforce that they can able to view it. So that could be one other job that you can have. Also, you need to make sure if somebody is logging in outside the permissible hours, how to monitor those people. You can, if they need a particular report generated, let's say CEO want a report periodicity or a particular periodicity every morning 9 a.m. So can able to view all that information. So you can create a report, work with the CEO whenever he said, okay, this format looks good. You create a template, you schedule it, and every morning he can able to see with the fresh data. So everything will be fresh. You set it up once, every new data comes in automatically fresh, the report will be generated and it will be inbox into the CEO. Same thing with the Salesforce. They can have sales folks that they can have a email schedule, they can have a dashboard schedule, they can create a runtime reports, and they can able to access it. So admin will provide them like a reports, and then admin will provide them training how to actually access the reports. If they need a very complicated report, which which is not as simple, that you might able to help them, because in the reports also you can create some small basic rules that you can actually put in, and it becomes a little bit more customizable rather than just the filtering. It can, so for example, you will say, okay, I need to check all the accounts which has more than $1,000 PO, open in a certain month, open by a certain person, and is still open, or still the deal is closed, something like that. Just an example. So you can probably help with them, and then admin also train people. You can also able to provide, so somebody locked out of their account, you will be the person who will be reached at to unlock the person, need to reset the account. So I mean, I'm just giving a very high level, but I mean, things can become more and more once you get into it, once you start understanding the system. But these are some very high level and basic responsibilities for the Salesforce engineer. In terms of just I'll take like maybe next 5 minutes, and then I'll kind of wrapping it up. So this is how the Salesforce looks like. If you want to check how, if you want to create an account, if you don't have already, what I'm going to do is I will send out to all of them this presentation, which will tell you how to set up the SDFC developer account. So what does it mean? It says developer account, but don't get confused by that. What it means is they provide you a free account, which they call it developer account, but it's basically an account, a free account for life, where you can do pretty much everything that is available in the Salesforce. You can create your rules, you can do whatever. The only caveat is that you cannot put a lot of data. So you can have some sample data of 100 or 200 or 300 records, but they restrict that because they don't want people to use that as a as a final product, right? So obviously they restrict the number of records. Obviously, if you're running a company, you cannot use the developer account because it can only hold a very small number of accounts. It does not really have a lot of space, but you can able to actually check and develop all the, pretty much all the, not all but almost all the functionalities that we talked about and that we go through during the professional one. Even the look and feel of the developer account and the actual account is the same. So for example, if I log into if I log into this account, which is the developer account right now, the actual company, if you're working, or if you're working for any other company which are using Salesforce, it will look exactly the same. The only thing maybe different is there, instead of Salesforce tag, you have your own company tag. Maybe they change the color if they already have customized, but if they haven't customized too much, the actual account looks exactly the same, exactly the same feeling, exactly the same functionalities. The only exception is now you can have more and more data that you can input and you can use with that. So it's not gonna be a day and night kind of a scenario where if you work on a developer account, which is like your demo account, and when actually you get into actual field and use it exactly the same, and sometimes you don't even able to make a differential if they are not changed their logo or something like that. So I will send this presentation out. So it's very straightforward. It just give you a address. You can even note it down right now. It's called developer.salesforce.com. You can go in there, you can sign up, just need a email address to sign it up, and basically you can sign up as a as a developer account, and basically you can start using it. You will get your password through email, you set it up, and once you basically log into your account, you will able to get something like this. Once you set
Ali,
it up. Yes.
just one quick thing. I
Okay.
don't, I'm not sure if others can see. For a while, I think you're trying to show that. Are you showing a dashboard for Salesforce?
I'm showing, yeah, the interface of Salesforce. Can you
So
see it or?
I'm not able to see the interface for some time. I'm still on that. We're looking at the PowerPoint slides.
Oh,
I
is
even
that?
Yeah,
went back
me
again
too.
and
Yeah, I
still
just
showing
put
the
up
PowerPoint
on.
slides only.
Oh, okay, okay. Let me. Thank you for pointing that out. Let me see if I can. Okay, let me know if you see a Salesforce screen now.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, no worries. I mean, I just kind of a switch just maybe few minutes back. So just to give you, so this is how the Salesforce screen looks like. And what I was showing you that there's a presentation that I have. I mean, this is nothing but if you need to create an account on Salesforce, it's called developer.salesforce.com. You can even take the screenshot and you can just log into this. You can create a free account, and this account is pretty much for the lifetime. And what I was just mentioning that this has all the functionalities available that we will go through in our actual training, and it has is basically give you all the rules and whatever you need to do. The only exception is it obviously do not have a lot of space that you can put a lot of data, but you can put a good amount of demo data that you need to when you create a rule or something that you can able to play around. So it can easily have 100 to 500 records that you can put in as an example, and you can actually, whenever you are working on any um, topic, you can able to play around, and the view of it, which hopefully you guys are seeing now, is exactly the same as the professional version. The actual one exception of, instead of Salesforce, maybe you have your company logo or things like that. And what I was showing previously also, that this is like your home. What it has is basically it has multiple options over here. We say sales, services, marketing, app launch, a lot of app exchange, which is almost like if you are using Apple products, or if you're using the Android, you can go to your app exchange and able to download any app from there. So same thing, there are a lot of apps available which are all kind of a ready-made tools that you can use on top of Salesforce. They come, some of them are comes like your regular apps. Some of them are free, some of them comes with a cost, some of them are monthly or one time, whatever that is. But the big advantage of that is there are like thousands and hundreds of thousands of apps which are available, and it's a very huge market for creating apps. So it can give you like this kind of a view. And again, I mean, once we start our session, we can able to go in more detail. But but what I was just explaining is these are some of the basic jobs that you need to have, and most of these, and at least for the full term of admin, you don't really need any kind of a software or a developer techniques that you need to employ, or any language that you need to learn. However, if you want to progress in more, and as I mentioned before, that if you want to become more specific and you become more in detailed and become more all-round person, then it's good to learn in future like some of the coding languages that they have, which is very helpful, and they are not as complex as the other languages are, because this is already customized language. And they have developed some of their own language in order to create them. And they are very like most of them are very basic and very easy to learn languages for the future purposes. But as I said, if you want to start off, these are some of the things that you will be doing in your tenure. Now the last slide that I want to discuss, and then I'll take any questions that you guys have, is basically in terms of how will we progress. Is we have, in terms of my training, hopefully the schedule is not the next, so not the next weekend, but following weekend from the next, because next weekend is the Eid weekend. So we will start from the next weekend, next to next weekend, and then we have just a 3-hour class every Saturday, and then it's 9 to 12 Saturday, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Saturday, 6 classes, and maybe I have one or two extra classes for the preparation for the folks who are actually appearing in the exam. So what I normally do, we start with the case studies, everything we do is will be based on case studies. How let's say if you we can create a small company, and basically we try to do different jobs that they do it based on like our curriculum that we have, that okay, now this is the step how we do that, next step how we do that. So basically we do that, will be followed by quiz. So maybe starting maybe from the second or third session, we will have like 15 minutes or half an hour, 15 minutes to 20 minutes every time we have quizzes, which are actual questions from the exam, so that you can start preparing for the exam at the same time. So by the time we cover the course of our 6 week class, you are at least almost ready to go through the questions which I will be providing. I have couple of hundred questions that normally I provide. You might need to go through all of them, and some of them you might just need to remember them, because you might not able to go back and practice everything, because then it will become really cumbersome process. But some of them you might, like any other course, like if you have done GRE or GMAT or any of those kind of things, there are few things in order to get the certification quick. You need to kind of remember some of these things other rather than going and trying everything out, because then it will take a really long time to actually go through each and every question. So some of these things you kind of remember and appear in the exam. Hopefully you pass it on the first go. The exam is very simple. It's comparatively it's cheaper also compared to some other certifications. The $200 first time, and if you for example doesn't pass first time, they have almost unlimited attempts of 9 to 10 attempts that you can give in the same year, and then each of them followed by just $100 exam retake. You can schedule it easily, almost like a day, on a day or two notice, so you don't really need to wait for a while. Everywhere they are available. You need to go to a center and you can just register, and they basically it's a 90-minute test. You have 60 questions. The passing criteria is kind of a variable, but anywhere from 65 to 70%. So you can still have, out of 60, you still have a choice that you can go like 10 or maybe 12 incorrect answer. But hopefully, and for the last couple of courses that I've given, most of the student, they comes back, they mention that pretty much like 80% or more, they actually see the same question that they practice, or either I given them as a take home for practice, or either we did it in a class. So if you know the answer, the things will be very very quick, or they even see the same like options, and everything is like of four options for each question, four or five options. However, the tricky part is sometimes they say there's a one right answer or two right answers, so it becomes kind of complicated. But as I said, um, we will practice the practical aspect of it, and also the passing the exam aspect of it, so that once you complete the session, if you can, and I really really try and really convince that if it is, that would be the best thing that you can try to do in next 2 weeks once you finish the course, to actually appear for the exam. In that way everything is fresh in your mind, and you can able to perform are really good. And once you get the certification, then you can have all the time to absorb all the other terminologies and things that you need to use in your actual day-to-day work. Because in the day-to-day work you can always Google, you can always look into that. One thing I would like to mention, they have a very strong community support. So they have something called Community Cloud, where you can just basically go ask any questions, and people around the world are anxiously waiting, and they kind of answer you, give you solutions. So if you're actually working in the field, this is very normal practice, that if you are doing something and if you're not 100% sure, you right away put the question in the community cloud, and within minutes you will start receiving answers from the people around the world, who will give you suggestions, who will give their experience, who sometimes even give you codes, that just put the code and you will get the answer. And I'm telling you from the experience that even the most complicated things that you can imagine once you're working in the Salesforce, sometimes they actually comes from the collaboration of a lot of engineers who are working in the field for years and years of experience, and they are kind of ready to help out, because in that way they can get more ratings, you can like it, they can do it, they can kind of recognize, and they become their, it's like everything is now about how many likes you have, how popular you are. So that can help them to grow their professional competencies. And if somebody's hiring them, they can always go and see, okay, this person is very obviously very competent, and I can go and see how they look. So like these days, if you want to check somebody, what is the first thing you do if you want to hire somebody, is go to their LinkedIn profile. You want to see what they have, what they did, how is their LinkedIn profile look like? Is it professional? If it is not, what their experience is, things like that. So similarly, like their community is very strong, they can provide you a lot of support with that. And then basically what we do is we have work exercises, reference materials. We'll basically, as I already mentioned, we'll do the courses basically around the certification. So I just want to make sure you guys can get the certification, and then obviously if you need in future any kind of support with the job placements or any other support for the interviews or preparation, I also help out in that arena as well. So having said that, I think I'm like a couple of minutes over, but now let me just open the forum for you guys and see if you guys have any questions for me.
So let me ask. I guess I'll start off. I have, as for the a startup admin or admin with few years experience into Salesforce, what are these salary caps?
So, so what I see so far, again, the salaries basically, as you know, that they are based on the area that you're working in, and also kind of a demand. But what I see on average, that I pulled from multiple areas, is anywhere from 80 to 110K per annum. In terms of hourly, they're also anywhere from 45 to 90 an hour based upon the expertise that you have. Mostly they are kind of admins, are usually, I mean, there's a small, I would say that 30 to 40% of the jobs are directly focused on only admin, because usually they also, when they're hiring somebody, they also try to see if they can have some background in development also. So people who have both admin and development certifications, they have more chances to get the jobs quickly. However, recently I've seen a trend, because not a lot of, so normally what the companies are doing nowadays is when they deploy the Salesforce, they hire vendors to actually deploy their whole system, and on for the day-to-day job they actually hire admins in order to maintain the system. So they don't really need a lot of development once the system is up and running, but it's just good to have. But what I've seen these days, and I can forward you some of the examples from my LinkedIn profile, where I have seen a lot of positions where they are strictly looking for admins. And if you have an admin even they are looking for people who know Salesforce. But if you have an admin certification, that an add on and that can make prospects very well. So just to give you an idea, so anywhere from 75, 80K, you can go all the way up to 100 plus salaries for the Salesforce admin particularly. Any other questions, guys? Ahmed, Faz, you guys are good? Anila, I saw you. You don't have any question, but anything else which is related to what we have discussed, or even beyond that, this is a good time to ask. Okay, so if not, then the next step is basically I'll send out some more details about the session when we are starting. Already mentioned it's gonna be not next week, but next week we will be starting our session, and we can basically I'll provide you some information how to log into the development account, and give you few other presentations that you can go through before the class, so you are more equipped when you are doing it if you get a chance. If not, then we can basically discuss how to start off. So if there are no other questions, then thank you for attending the intro section, and then hopefully we'll see you guys in the actual session starting in few days. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you.